I know. Is it even 12 hours? Oh, it's a little over 12 hours, so we're good.
You have a late meeting last night?
Yes.
So sad.
I think we're about 14.
Wow.
I
No.
don't.
Okay.
Yep.
No, okay.
We have the hybrid option, but everybody is welcome to be here in person.
Well, I guess we only have
Three
three
events.
have
of us,
three.
so maybe we'll wait a minute still. Yeah, okay. We'll wait a minute.
Who else is expecting to be?
Crystal, everybody was supposed to be here, right?
Yeah, everyone responded saying they were coming.
So we'll give it a few minutes.
Lori was at that very late meeting last night too, so.
What were you discussing?
It was a planning commission meeting last night. We were talking about the west side, we were talking about southeast. We're just planning it up.
I could use that rice can. In Denver, I was in Paris.
Welcome, everybody. So, sorry. So channel 17 is broadcasting then?
Yes.
Okay.
So people are watching
Are
us eat.
watching. Okay, you got it.
Just remember that.
I'm kind of in this.
Yeah, I'm here. Welcome everybody to the Transportation and Mobility Advisory Committee. We'll go ahead and do quick introductions. I'm Clancy Black, Committee Chair. Joy.
Joy McMurray, Committee Vice Chair.
And we've got Mitsu Saito and Laurie Urquiaga on Zoom. Thanks for being here, guys. Also, Dave Harding, our council representative. And the rest of the room want to introduce?
Yeah, Gary McGinn, Director of Community and Neighborhood Services.
Robert Mills, Planning Supervisor.
Javin Weaver, Parking Coordinator.
Melissa McNally, Planner.
Okay. It's nice to be in person again.
It's like, hello, this is
Yeah.
what we actually look like.
I'm a human. So I think item 1 was to report on scooter ridership. So turn that to you, Javin.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. From Provo City, we have contracted with Super Pedestrian, which have the Link scooters within our city. We're on contract with them through November. I'm going to go through a presentation, then the scooters a little bit. They have participated in some of our local events at the parade this year. You know, they've done some stuff with the farmers market, trying to integrate more into the community. This area is growing, so they've been with the city since last year, June technically. They are expanding into Springville in 4 days on July 19th. Super Pedestrian Link scooters are also in Orem, and they're also talking to Vineyard and Saratoga. So as we're thinking about utilizing scooters, this expands where somebody can ride a scooter from one municipality to another, which I think is great. Something that we're looking at the scooter program is continuing to evolve. Testing no-ride zones. An example of a no-ride zone is BOU campus. You cannot ride a scooter into it. I've tried, they stop working. And we're looking, they really do.
They really do.
This is
And you have to push.
This is even better. It's even better than the previous vendor we had. The previous vendor, I could get a few feet and then it would stop. This one stops.
So I've, like if I'm east-west on 8th North, will it stop me or?
No.
Okay, so it's pretty precise then.
Yes.
Okay.
Like the parking lot adjacent to Brick Oven on the east side, cross over the sidewalk, off the sidewalk in the parking lot, they'll cut you off.
Wow.
I would encourage TMAC members to get scooters and try to break into BYU. Tell us if we have a hole in our geofence.
Sounds like an assignment.
You know, in talking with BYU, they had some issues with the previous vendor with the geofencing.
Welcome, Jim. Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
There have not been any issues with the new vendor with the geofencing. They've had a very good relationship with our vendor.
Very cool.
So this is a heat map showing where the scooters have been this past June. Now, we added some more stations this year within the summertime up here in the canyon area. And you can see that the canyon is being heavily used as much as the city is.
Just point out, if you're looking at those slides as a date, March 17th, 2016, that's not the date of this data.
Okay.
Are our online members seeing this as well?
Yes, I'm sharing the screen. So this does include, keep in mind, this is including Orem areas, but
So those are Orem's scooters though, or?
so Orem City also allows for Link scooters to be in their city too. So I could ride from Provo to Orem and it's not going to cut off when I get to the city boundary.
So it's not like a Provo scooter and Orem scooter,
Correct.
it's just here's ridership.
Yes.
Okay.
So these are little zoomed in areas. You can see where people are riding them around BOU campus, up at the Riverwoods. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more usage. Joaquin neighborhood, downtown, West Provo. And these are going through, now we're just going through each week roughly. Overall, you can see downtown's used a lot, the central area is used a lot, the Provo River Parkway Trail is used for scooters a lot. Especially at University Parkway heading up to Orem. So they use pretty well throughout the city. Now this is showing, again, where they've ridden. I don't have data showing per individual scooter on how the scooter got from point A to point B, but this is the closest I can get. June 20th to 26th. One thing that I would like to talk about, we have talking about the number of rides we've had on our scooters. We've had, since they launched with this vendor, we've had 84,000 rides in the city. That equates, we get per ride we get with our contract, we get 10 cents per ride. So the city has gained $8,400 with those rides. What I thought was interesting was looking at June of 2021, and you see the ridership is down to 3,300 compared to May of 82. Thought, well, that seems odd. But looking at last June, it's in the 3,000 range too. So I'm expecting the ridership will increase as the summer continues, and come when school starts, a lot of students use the scooters. They're used heavily. One other thing I'd like to show you is
I think it's interesting if you look at that data, that it seems to be like the heat affects people more than the cold
Yeah.
in ridership.
yeah, they actually said we had more ridership than they expected in December month. So not sure why.
Shannon, do you know the red versus the yellow approximately what numbers those are?
I asked that question. I don't have an answer to that, but I can get you that answer.
Okay.
Once I do. I was curious myself. This is showing. Now, this is showing you where we have scooter staging locations where they come into the city and set up the scooters. The blue are indicating as they are currently staging them at those locations. The red ones, we used to have them there, they're currently inactive based on the number that are being deployed is what it is. So recently we said we added some up to the canyon. They worked with the county on that. I added some out here, additional scooters out in West Provo, and based on the ride heat map, I've seen that people are using them at those locations. Now, if somebody wanted to ride a scooter, you need to have an app. On the app, it costs $1 to unlock the scooter, and then it is 35 cents per minute to ride the scooter. So sometimes it might not be worth someone's money to ride it a few blocks in the downtown area, but it might be worth it to ride it a farther trip. The average length of trip is 14 minutes on a scooter. So an example of, sometimes I get phone calls about people having some complaints with scooters. One issue we had was just an example of how we problem solved this. There's a roundabout down near the roundabout on right up here. We have a staging location, 3rd South and 1350 East. And somebody kept leaving a scooter. When you download the app and you're going to ride a scooter, it has the rules on what you should do and how it says when you park the scooter, you shouldn't be blocking the sidewalk. Now, somebody kept blocking the sidewalk 3 or 4 times and different times. And I kept getting a complaint about it. So we looked into, the scooter company looked into the user and saw that it's the exact same user. And so they were able to go in and say, oh, no, you cannot use our product anymore because you are violating the terms that you're agreeing to. And I have not heard any problem since then. So I thought that was great.
Yeah, that's good.
Overall, the communication I've had with the company, it's been very positive. They really like working here within Provo City. I think the data shows that scooters are heavily used in our community, far more than I think we initially thought when they launched a couple years ago. And people enjoy them. Do you guys have any questions?
Do they have the top 10 locations or something of where trips are going to or from?
I don't know if I can figure that out.
You said there were 84,000 rides so far, right, Shannon?
Yes.
What's the time period? How many years is that? 2 years? 1 year, 1 year.
That's just from June 20 to July 21,
Okay.
or June 21.
Can you, and the reason I asked where they're generated to and maybe going from, it helps me decide, okay, this is the path they're taking. I see the heat map. I can't tell kind of what path.
Yeah.
And so are there some things that we need to do to make improvements or to make that path more user-friendly?
Correct.
When they're riding them up the canyon, is that probably on the trail system, you think?
I presume so, yes.
Can you zoom in on the downtown area?
On this map,
I'm sorry, I missed the colors are.
blue means that these are active staging locations. Red means it's an inactive staging location. So they're not going to set up scooters at the location. But I'm going to set up a few scooters here, set up a few scooters here. Are you looking for ridership for like?
Yeah.
Okay,
Ridership.
okay,
Show
sure.
the different maps.
I do, yes.
I'm really interested in this, so sorry I'm late.
It's okay.
I am too. I'm trying to know which, are they using the major roads? Are they using,
Yeah.
which, I'm trying to just find which roads, which.
Yeah, the heat map's great, but we
It
need
is.
to see where they go.
Yes, I need to, that helps me. What do I need to look at? What do we need to improve? Directional signage, striping, all those things.
And I wonder if the heat map, though, is an indication of the routes they are taking.
Well,
I mean, it kind of looks like.
It's not very precise
No,
so far, yeah.
but you can see like a corridor.
Yeah.
You can see that's the river trail clearly they're using, because people are dropping off bikes, picking them up, and it's all along that river trail.
But these are just what certain times of the day.
This is
Sorry, a couple days.
all scooters used within a week period.
So, I mean, you could definitely see the major routes that people are taking. Like these, Park.
It's good to see no red dots in the middle of BYU. That's another indication that the geofence is working.
College Connector Trail here.
Could you do it like in maybe a annual basis? Then I can see these are the major routes. So on an annual basis, we have this higher, these are the ones with really the high ridership. And that could be in a heat map similar to that too.
Dave Harding, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to say that it appears that the scooter riders prefer riding on trails and bike lanes. And I think that there's some correlation with the major corridors, but it seems even more so that if we have a bike lane, or if there's like the Provo River Trail, those seem to be very popular.
So we took staff out on a ride all over the city, and I went on different types of roads. I went on our neighborhood bikeways, the Parkway Trail, riding on 8th North, University, like all over. That some were more comfortable for some people, some were less comfortable, but just to get a taste of where would you want to ride if you had a scooter?
Purely for research purposes.
Yes.
I just want to make that clear.
Great day at work, yeah.
That's what I'll tell BYU police when I get caught with a scooter on campus. It's research.
And Robert and Melissa were there. I don't know if you have anything.
Thanks for implicating us.
You guys,
Allegedly.
you guys had any
Can't be
comment
proven.
from that experience on riding them?
It's definitely more comfortable riding in areas with designated bike lanes, I have to say.
Well, like one example, if you look at 9th East, where there's the nice wide sidewalk on the east side there, that the red zone stops right around
Where
the
that-
turn up to the temple where that sidewalk, I guess it goes one more block. I mean, so it might be routes, but it does, there's not a lot on 2230 where sidewalks are narrower and.
Well, and definitely for me, more than a bike lane, just that interaction between heavy traffic versus the scooter, right? Like it didn't bother me as much if there wasn't a specifically designated bike lane. I was more interested in traffic volume. So that's what made me more comfortable.
Dave Harding hasn't seen it.
We have seen
Dave.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe riding these electric scooters on sidewalks is currently prohibited.
That's
Correct.
Our ordinance currently prohibits it.
I've been in cities where it's permitted.
Yeah,
Can they govern the speed differently if it's on a sidewalk?
They can reduce it down based on geofence.
Yeah, like let's say if you took the downtown area and reduced the speed to 5 miles an hour, could we permit them on the sidewalks?
we could, people are functioning downtown. I don't think I've ever seen anybody on Center Street, the street. It's always on the sidewalk. And I haven't made.
There's no way you get me on a scooter out on that street.
Yeah, and I've never made a citizen's arrest. You know,
I've seen them on the street too.
now, and so that is one of the issues that while it is currently against our code, that is frankly one of the things that we've been trying to monitor. For instance, the fire chief, I don't have any specific stats from him, but I have asked him to keep me informed of if they have any serious ambulance calls or things like that dealing with scooters that they're responding to. And in the entire time we've done it, I've only had one incident, and that was where
was it at?
it was actually over here, I think on Freedom and 100, that a car turned
Oh, in front.
and didn't see a scooter and this, kind of that. And there wasn't really, it wasn't clearly the motorist's fault, wasn't clearly the scooter's fault, but that's about all. And I'll coordinate with the chief and get a better report on that. But I have not heard of any.
We haven't had any pedestrian scooter collisions.
I'm sure we have,
They haven't been reported.
but they probably haven't been reported. They haven't been serious enough to cause a problem. And so that is one of the issues we do need to think about as a city and see if we can't get better data from super pedestrian about this issue of having them on the sidewalks, because that's where they naturally go. Now on Center Street, you're not supposed to have bicycles on the sidewalk, but we see bicycles and skateboards and things like that frequently on the sidewalk. So, and again, we do know of other communities, they'll geofence sidewalks and you can only go a certain speed. What are they regulated to now? Is it 15 miles an hour is as fast as you could go on one of these scooters. BYU's geofence, that seems to be working really well. And we gave an assignment to all
work there, right?
Yeah, we gave an assignment to all TMAC members to rent a scooter and try and penetrate BYU. But suppose, and it works pretty well, at the property line, it'll shut down and you can't go. So as we collect more data and we take a look about it, I'm not hearing from downtown businesses or pedestrians or, Shane, have you been getting reports from a traffic standpoint?
None.
Okay.
None.
And I'm not hearing big issues from the fire department and emergency response. So I'm sure there is conflict and things like that. That's somewhat inevitable, but we'll just keep monitoring it.
So another, question in the ordinance. So look at southeast Provo, the line of red there, that's what nice 10-foot wide sidewalk and trail is. And of course it stops where that trail stops. So, I think it's a fair assumption. That's a horrible place to bike on the road or scooter on the road. I think it's a safe assumption to say those people are probably on that sidewalk. But is that considered a trail? So it's okay, like the Provo River Trail?
It's a multi-use path.
Yeah, so that is a multi-use path.
Okay, so
Yeah, and the
like the
plan
Provo
is-
River Trail, that's okay.
Yeah, the plan is right now to get that connected over to Third South, feel that piece.
That would be amazing.
That is part of the request I think that we'll be making here for the back is we need to get that.
Yeah.
Piece.
I remember that was on the plan. That would be awesome. So those multi-use paths and trails, it is okay. Okay.
I've talked with parks about this as well, and if they've had any issues with scooters, and they haven't brought anything to my attention at least.
But I think that's that southeast hot spot there, that line. That's a good example. Like people are definitely more comfortable where there's a separate space with plenty of width to ride.
By way of observation, based on the prices Javin told us and the average 14-minute ride, that's about $6 per ride is what the average would then be. I think that's interesting as we're discussing various kinds of transportation and the fears like, well, what if when UVX isn't free anymore? Will people still ride it? I think it's interesting to note people are willing to pay about $6 per ride on average to get 15 minutes on a scooter. It is just a piece of data that might be helpful.
And one of the data that we'd like to collect from this, which is kind of hard, is why people are riding and the purpose of what they're riding, which is why we want to see,
A bit more specific.
beginning and end and the route they're taking.
Yeah, because I think one of the critical ones for us is the first last mile
Yeah.
from the transit facilities.
Yeah.
Are these getting used
Are people using them
from
when they're
there?
connected to buses?
Yeah.
Or not? I
Or
don't know.
not, because it's difficult, to use it. I don't know. I try to, that data, try to infer, collect
So is there any way they can give us origin destination information?
I can ask.
Yeah, that would be.
I'm not exactly sure, like I've asked for that before. I can look into that.
Have you noticed, Javin, if any of these hotspots are next to major bus stop hubs that we know are heavily used?
Yes,
Do we see some connection there?
do have some stops by, let me see if I can label them in here, but you got a stop, and there's a UVX stop right over here. You got one up along these ones here. Most UVX stops have a scooter station location near it.
Okay.
And I talked with UTA one day, and they said that they seem to have seen the scooters leaving near their stations when they're going out to their maintenance. And so,
Now, anecdotally, there's two types of riders: people who get on and ride and have a specific destination in mind, or a commute, that first last mile issue. There's also a significant amount of people just kind of joyriding, just for fun. I think at the Hyatt, they still have a stop, and they used to have quite a few of people who would stay at the Hyatt near downtown. And talking with the manager of the Hyatt, that's like, yeah, they love it. They come out, they get on scooters, they ride all around downtown Provo and just have a great time, and they double and triple up, which they're not supposed to do. Which we've all seen. I've seen, frankly, YU young adult groups going kind of like group dating. Scooter gangs, watch out for those BYU scooter gangs.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. I mean, that's what you want, is people exploring Provo, feeling comfortable in Provo, that it's a good, safe, fun activity to do in the fall or spring when school's in.
I've asked people that work at the convention center if their patrons have enjoyed the scooters, if they use them, but I've heard they really enjoyed them. They've liked it in the city.
So you showed this, they paid the city it was $8,000 or something like that.
$8,500.
Yeah. Does it cost the city anything? And you said it's up in November. Are we evaluating renewal, or how's that process work?
Yes, we look at the data. We're looking for accidents. We're looking for problems. We're looking for, and the question of, does it cost us anything? It doesn't cost us money, hard money,
time.
But there's time. Javin coordinates with them. You may get calls occasionally on scooters. We have meetings like this where we're analyzing scooters and the effectiveness for the community. So if it's a good tool, people are enjoying it, people are safe, it's helping people get around our community, and it's just a great amenity and it improves the quality of life, it's worth doing as a city.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. I mean, it's helpful for transportation, and I mean, it's okay that people use it for fun. Like, it makes it a, like you say, quality of life.
Yeah, just like we would bicycles, that if a bunch of students or a family felt comfortable just biking all around downtown Provo just for fun, that's what we would love to have happen.
It just creates that destination atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, trips to the park, kids, that's all we want, fun trip to the park.
Right.
So these ideas are probably all bad, but we just throw them out in their kind of package. I'm wondering if we could do something like UVX, if there is a place we could go to for funding and make it free for a while. Try to increase the utilization of the scooters to get it even. I mean, I think it's successful already, and maybe it's not the entire city, maybe it's the downtown, so that's one idea. The second, is there any way we could have them geofence a lower speed for downtown and get for a 30-day period, allow them on the sidewalks and see what happens? Because I've been in cities where they are on the sidewalks, and I go back again a year later and they're still on the sidewalk. So that means these cities have determined that it's okay to have them.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to be going 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, they're much slower.
They're slower in that. Because my gut tells me that if we could get people from our UVX stops downtown, and I'm saying downtown because it's a heavily traveled area, there might be other parts of the city where we could do it. But if we could get people going from University all the way over to the new city building at 5th West, we could really transportation activates businesses. And maybe we could get the business owners to partner with us or something, and I don't know. So I'm wondering, so it was two different ideas.
Yeah, we could start that conversation. I think that's actually a great idea.
I'm not suggesting we change the ordinance yet,
Yeah.
but could we get a 1-month trial to see if we want to change the ordinance?
Yeah,
And we can't change the ordinance, that's the
city council, and all of this information that we're gathering, the approach we've taken to bicycles we have enough issues in the city with code that the scooters on sidewalks, especially in the downtown area, we're treating it on a complaint basis. So just because we quickly see one we don't know that somebody's just riding up and down and causing a problem, they may have temporarily gotten off the sidewalk, or the street for a legitimate reason or something like that. So we're doing it on a complaint basis. We're not getting any complaints that I know of about scooters. And so to do some work with Super Pedestrian about some concepts like, okay, in the downtown area, maybe we do want them on the sidewalks, but we only want them to be able to go 7 miles an hour maximum, or whatever the right answer is. We could, and maybe there's a fare-free zone downtown. And
If we're getting $8,000, that's roughly 1,300 free trips on Center Street.
Yeah, and so we can approach them about ideas and concepts like that, and then approach them about origins and destinations and routing, and try to get more information, because this could be either just fun or a viable transportation alternative to make some links between important areas of the city.
So Gary or Javin, is the resolution fine enough on these that you could determine that the scooters are already driving on this data? Hey, we can already tell that they're already on the sidewalk.
I haven't.
I don't know if the resolution is tight enough to say, hey.
I don't think so, but to be honest, that's my guess. I rarely see anybody in the downtown area, and especially on, say, like Freedom or University, they're not on the road. I've never seen anybody on the road. 100 North, I see it. 100 South, I see it on the street. Things
I've never
like
seen
that.
anyone on Center Street.
You haven't caught me that.
Oh, you've been on
I
Center
have.
Street?
How did that go?
I'm behind Javin and I just sat there.
On the free fare thing, I think it would be heavily abused, but I like the idea of free fare origin
Or a
or
2 for 1 or
destination.
something.
Well, if you're riding from the UBX stop,
Right.
or the front runner stop, if you start there or end there, maybe it's free fare or something like that.
Or like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, or if it can integrate with the UTA app somehow, and if you have a UTA fare, then it's free, something like that.
So they do that for microtransit, that it integrates with the UTA and the bus systems and all that stuff. That probably is good.
Yeah, we've been talking
That
with
would be
UTA
awesome,
about that and some of the programs that they're doing, and
Does
I
this
don't know.
company have any relationship? I mean,
I don't know.
can they work with UTA and do something?
I'm-
We
I'm-
encourage
It's
that?
not exclusive like UTA, it's a business, the microtransit, and they work agreements between each other. Absolutely.
So
That
that's
would be
a
very
great idea for us to pursue, and we'll have Javin, bring
So
that up.
maybe
with
it's getting the
Super
two of them
Pedestrian.
talking and saying we're really in support of it.
Yeah. But so far, my impression, anecdotally and from the data of lack of emergency response calls, complaints, and things like that, it seems to be going pretty well and has been a successful thing for Provo.
And a fun fact about them is our citizens, the people that use them here, treat the scooters far nicer than any other community that the company has said. They manage the scooters all over the nation. They've had scooters dumped. Only one scooter has been dumped in the river here. Otherwise, Salt Lake, they found them in the dumpster. They found them being burned. They found, who knows what? You found it.
Well, the one in the Provo, apparently they were trolling as fishing on the river. And
But the Provo, some people
And
don't.
now Gary's trolling you.
Right.
Some people don't realize that you can ride the scooter and leave it in front of your house and you don't have to go back and restage it somewhere. It's fine. People will ride it and go back to the closest staging part and leave it there. And this is the only city they found that we're the nicest to it. So I think that says something about our community.
Good
Can
job.
we
Provo.
lobby for 20
For
cents
anyone
back
listening.
then per ride?
We want
Hey,
to
We
Well,
give the
maybe.
good driver discount.
Good drive, exactly.
So- Take it for what it is.
Well, let's.
Any other last ideas or
let's wrap this up.
suggestions?
Any final
So
thoughts?
realize
or-
though with UBX, the free fares are not really free. They were paid for from MAG funds, right? So
Right.
there was an idea, hey, let's designate MAG funds to pay for that ridership, right? Let's take those transportation funds and use it towards that. So
You mean there's nothing free?
We can definitely spend MAG funds for
it's
scooters,
just a
maybe.
reallocation of the funds to say, hey, this is.
Gets me here, I guess.
Yeah. Any last thoughts? And
When-
we'll
when
move
is
on
Being
it?
to-
invited to come to the table because nobody
I know.
can hear you.
Also, on that idea of maybe connecting the microtransit with Front Runner and UBX somehow, maybe we could do a compromise that if you're transferring, you can waive the $1 unlock fee, but you still pay the per minute fee. I mean, there might be options.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there are lots of ways to
I
explore
will
that.
talk with them about that.
Okay. Well, thanks for that, Javin,
Yeah.
for everyone's thoughts. We'll go ahead to item 2 now, which is continuing our Center Street project evaluation. I looked at the minutes. I wasn't here last time, but it looked like
I looked at
I'm
it.
glad
A
you
lot
did
of-
not moderate this time.
Thanks for covering, Dave.
Yeah.
And Melissa's sitting closer to me, so my Excel dumbness doesn't come out
Oh.
as much.
But it looked like we made
Dave,
a
I
lot
hear
of
you're in
progress.
you're into your new.
Yeah, we just
Building.
moved this week, so I have longer to drive today.
Oh, to Springville?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize you hadn't moved yet. Nice.
We moved manufacturing last year. We moved everyone else.
Oh, very cool.
So we need to get scooters from Provo to.
Springville, yeah.
I will say really quickly, though,
Next
try to
week.
say one more thing. It's been interesting seeing as Orem went online, seeing the maps evolve. And add a lot more going within the community. So I'm really excited to see next month to see how it's evolved with Springville.
Yeah.
Because we found them going south to Provo and like, oh, well, we need to bring them back to Provo so that someone can ride it.
Yeah.
It looks like they went through this whole first column, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I hoped that would work better. Do you feel like it was a better approach? In my experience, it has been, but
I think so.
Well, we decided not to rank them. We decided to go with the 1, 2,
score,
and 3.
the +2,
score.
-2.
But it kind of, since we were doing them all and looking, it was kind of half of what you suggested, but we still scored them.
Yeah, and we can sort, right?
And we can sort them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can sort them later. So I
I
have.
do-
Oh, go ahead.
Or I was gonna say, I do think maybe after we finish these other 2, it'd be good to sort them in order by each column and review and make sure like, oh yeah, that does deserve to be above that. That should be below this. I think that would be good in the future, but I say today we just go for it on the next column.
I think that's a great idea. I just want to remind everybody, so kind of where we're at, where we're heading to, the plan is that we're going to have a report available for the city council by October.
Okay.
And so that's 3 meetings away.
Yeah.
And one of the, and in that process, though, I think an important thing we do need to do is have downtown businesses come in and be able to comment and look in this. And probably the best way might be to have DPI
Mhm.
come
Yeah.
in and kind of go through this. And we probably ought to do it earlier rather than later to maybe give them an idea. The best way might kind of where things are shaking out, scoring here so that we can work with the businesses downtown to get their input, because there may be something that as we go through a process that might make sense and rank fairly high, they may be really hesitant to do. I don't know what that would be, but
So would
Especially from an experimental standpoint, right? If we
Yeah.
want to do some experimental things, just to make sure, hey, this from an experimental standpoint is where we want to head. Is that
yeah.
gonna be an issue?
So we have 3 criteria or 4? I've forgotten. 4?
I have pedestrian safety and access
Access.
to business, aesthetics, and strategies.
Right, that's the lower weighted one. So would a reasonable schedule be if we can be focused and finish this one today, finish the third highly weighted item in August, and then maybe we could send it to DPI to look at, and
To look
in
at, and then
September,
in September, meet with
we
them.
could review and hear their feedback. Is that a reasonable schedule, or?
Yeah, I think that would work.
Okay,
Yeah, and then that would give them an opportunity to look at it, meet, talk, and then come back to our meeting and be able to look at it. Because they're an important player in downtown, obviously.
okay.
We need to
Yeah,
make sure
of
they're
course.
involved.
And then our October, can we still use our October meeting to discuss it, or will it need to be presented before our October meeting?
The October meeting will be, what's the date?
Third Thursday.
Okay, yeah, it'll be the third Thursday, so it'll be at least,
So,
yeah.
We might be able
Weird.
to finalize it and just send it to the council.
but we should try to have it kind of done in September.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably best.
So let's stick to that schedule then. Finish this one today. In August, we'll do at least the third
Maybe the fourth.
highly weighted criteria, and hopefully that fourth one I think we could do
Faster.
quickly, yeah. And then send it to DPI, and then in September we'll hear DPI's feedback and adjust scoring, and then it'd be ready for October. Okay. So let's dive in. Dave, how do I moderate this best?
So these ones were
Well,
all.
I make sure everyone understood it first.
Okay.
If
So
you read it and understand it's clear, then I would just ask for comments, but if you don't quite know what it means, then I ask for, we've already been through all of them once.
yeah,
So I don't think we'll have to.
missed that.
right.
Oh.
So
So if you get to one where you don't know what it is, the rest of us,
pause for a minute.
I think we're up
Yeah.
to speed on what they all mean, but we didn't always know what they meant.
Okay, so leading pedestrian interval at intersections, that gives pedestrians a few extra seconds to enter the intersection before cars, so they're more visible. So are we, if it's neutral, like no impact, are we saying 0 then?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess
So
I would say
minus
this
2 to
is,
minus 2.
I would say this is a 0 or a 1 maybe, because no impact, but a better pedestrian experience.
So I think there is, I look at it, there's 2 impacts. There won't be as much, it will discourage perhaps drive-through because it slows down the traffic. So they may not get as much free advertising, but the experience of their customers will be better.
Mhm.
Because the customers, we park there and then we have to
Most people have to cross a
we have to use
road.
these crosswalks. So I think, I agree with your 1. It does reduce the volume, which I'm thinking was a business owner, but it's a better experience for their customers. So I'd either say a 1 or a 2. But
I would feel good at 1. I mean, any,
I'm good at 1.
okay,
And then Laurie and Mitsu, we're just going to rely on you to jump in.
yeah. Just yell out if you disagree or want to add anything.
I
Install
agree
slow-
with the 1, and I'd say a 1 on the next one as well.
Okay. Install slow and 15 mph paint markings on street. So this is paint in the lane that vehicles would see to encourage them to slow down, maintain towards convenient access to businesses and services. This is another one I'd say 0 or 1, like, slowing cars down maybe discourages people, but that's probably cut through traffic that it's going to discourage. So it would probably actually make a better experience and maybe help. So I'd say 0 or 1.
I'm a 1.
Just to clarify, we're evaluating whether this maintains and supports convenient access to businesses and services, not on how it impacts traffic, except to the extent that it
That
impacts
traffic
business.
access, yeah.
I was looking at this for the perspective of the business owner.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, put ourselves in the business owner's shoes and say, would this help me or hurt me?
I'd say 1.
Okay. I think we're good at a 1 then.
Okay. Shadows.
Paint bike sharrows in the outside lanes. Okay, so this is keeping 2 lanes, but making them shared lanes with the bike
Maybe outside.
signals. Yeah.
We had a long conversation about that last time.
But this one, yeah, that's a tricky topic for The other, yeah, sorry, I won't get into it. That's the other criteria. I don't know, any thoughts, anybody?
I think it's neutral for this criteria.
I would agree with that.
0.
Okay, got some head nods, we'll go 0. Install flashing 15 miles per hour ahead signs at 600 west and 200 east.
That's kind of neutral.
What was that, me too?
Well, I thought kind of neutral, but I mean, under this particular goal,
I'd say 0.
yeah.
Yeah, I would agree maybe 0 for this also, because a lot of these you're trading one thing for another.
Yeah.
Okay, go 0. I don't know. I don't know that this impacts businesses a lot, or maybe people would feel more comfortable walking and be more likely to walk around, but I don't know if the impact would be huge for this one.
I suppose it depends on whether, as a business owner, you see the pedestrian mall idea as a positive or a negative. If you're located there and you understand that this is a pedestrian mall, then I would see that a sign and underscoring that is a net positive, and I would put a 1 to it. But if you see the pedestrian mall idea as being a negative to your business, then the sign up would suggest it'd be a net negative. All that said, I would put it as a 1 because I think most businesses downtown understand this is that pedestrians are positive for.
I think if the archway is done right, I think it can give identity to the downtown business as a group.
More of a
Not
destination.
yet though, right? We're in pedestrian mall signage.
Yeah, this one's just signage.
If the sign attracts more pedestrians to the center street, definitely it's a plus for the business owners because you have more people. If more, it's really truly pedestrian mall. You advertise, and then people feel it looks like that. Then you may have more pedestrians, walking people. Well, just even browsing the stores will be eventually helpful in a way. So
I don't think people.
I would say 1. 1.
I think a 1 makes sense here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I appreciate Gary's point from earlier that we need to hear from the downtown business owners.
True. Definitely.
That might feel different.
I don't know.
And entry arch, I would say is a 1 also. It's a symbolic thing that could help.
Agreed.
Okay. Accessibility crosswalks. Again, for access, this is one where I don't know that it makes a big difference. So I'd maybe say 0 here. This is more of a safety measure. Okay. 3D crosswalks not recommended by FHWA.
I said neutral.
Yeah.
What is FHW?
That's meant for safety. I mean, let's slow down.
Right.
So.
Right, kind of hierarchy of policy decisions, those things come from federal highways down to the state, from the state down to local, county.
Why don't they like them?
Drivers.
They're really,
they're distracting.
And it would work for a little bit, but then everyone gets. I'm inclined to say 0 here. I mean, maybe it makes this an exciting place to go, but or maybe people hate it and stay away.
Look at the holographic.
Yeah. Anyone feel otherwise? Okay.
From the strips on the 0.
Just after
I don't know how that's gonna
500.
500 west. I mean, direction toward eastbound for eastbound traffic, right? So just the entry location. So westbound 200 east.
Yeah, I agree with
No.
0.
Reminder to the drivers. Left turns along detour route.
Does everyone understand this? So it would make the alternate 100 North path more convenient.
Its goal is to get the traffic down, so I don't know what impact that has on.
So from a business point of view, they'd probably look at this as like reducing traffic, maybe being a net negative, but it could be sixes because I do think that increasing pedestrian traffic long-term is going to increase business activity.
That's the key question I want to ask DPI. If we remove cut-through traffic, do you like that or not like that? Yeah, if commuters are not there, do you see that as a positive or negative? I feel like that's one of the important questions we really need to hear their thoughts on.
If it supports the ambience that they're going for, then that's a plus.
Right.
But you as a user too, you gotta look at it the other way. I want to go to a business downtown. If you make it more difficult, do I want to go downtown?
But I don't know that this makes it more difficult for most users, I don't think.
And that's the question, right? I would say for me, from a user, or is this, a different route that is good, but we have something that's off, maybe that requires something to be done off Center Street that makes that, hey, I can go there and I can then walk or do something to get to businesses. So this could require, if we're getting people off Center Street, then we need maybe potential improvements.
Well, I don't this one doesn't really make it any harder to get downtown. It just encourages me to take the detour. So I think this is neutral.
Well, if I'm going downtown to visit a business, not having to wrestle all the commuter traffic would actually make me want to make it easier for me to get there and to find a parking space and to get out. If the road isn't packed with all those commuters, then I can actually go down and visit a business and it'd be less stressful.
So it could be much more helpful than we think.
Yeah, the Marriott garage, the Town Square garage, the New Freedom garage, the Wells Fargo garage are all on 100 North. So if it's easier for me to go take 100 North to parking.
Then that would make it easier to get to businesses too.
And the Zion garage.
When the parking is, public parking availability is really emphasized along 100 North, and then people start seeing that route would be more attractive to get to downtown, then this will help eventually.
Yeah.
Businesses,
I'm leaning towards one with a big asterisk that we want to hear. What?
Yeah, it's not 0, 1 is good.
Less traffic on Center Street as I can get. I just want.
But then you're never going to have your pedestrian mall feel that they say they also want. So let's hear from them.
Yes.
We put a star by this one.
Yeah, he's got it.
Thank you, Robert.
Hold it. The goal of this is to have our cake and to eat it too. That's what we're doing.
Yes.
Keep that in mind.
We save up, no free lunch.
Improved lighting at mid-block crosswalks. I say 0. This is more of the safety, I think. Okay. Rectangular rapid flashing beacons at mid-block crossings. I say that's 0 too. That's mostly the pedestrian safety thing. Okay. Install variable message signs to warn drivers of upcoming slow speeds. So
that's an electronic variable messaging sign.
It's saying slow down ahead,
That's
reduce speed ahead.
This was a
like
suggestion from the public or something. So
yeah, and that was going to be like
we figured out it was. So it's
like further down.
600 west,
Yeah.
Something like that.
So it's not necessarily a flashing sign. It's a word, and it's a variable message. Anyway.
Something similar like on I-15, you got a big overhead variable. I'm not saying it's that ugly.
Right.
But as long as we can have cool messages.
Yeah, I mean, you could put cool messages on there.
Put some pens on there in between. Or
Park here, ride a scooter.
Something like that. I don't know. Thoughts?
This one seems
Yeah. Probably neutral. Install parklets or interim sidewalk widenings with movable planters in existing parking spots. So I'd say we maybe need to say -1 here because I don't think businesses want to lose parking and it makes it hard, the in front of the store parking.
This is one where I would again like to hear from them. Do they want ambiance more or do they want access more?
This one probably hurts the access. Wasn't this one access?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this one is probably negative for this.
Yeah, I think eliminating parking probably hurts, even with better ambience, it does. It's not a -2, I don't think, but
There's another column that's, is it a good thing, obvious.
So during the pandemic, I can tell you, so we met with the downtown area, administration. We were talking about this idea to do it during the pandemic to try to get people, because you couldn't get indoors, try to keep people eating outdoors, those kind of things. And so a lot of it, they were really good with on the sidewalk and the bulb out areas they wanted to use, but they didn't seem to be too much on board with using the parking.
Yeah. And I feel like Quinn said that when he was here 2 years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah, my impression
Time
is,
gap I can't reconcile.
is they're all for it in some of those planters that we don't have if we were to rehab those.
Yes.
Make that outdoor dining and those, like just here on Third.
Yeah.
When you leave, look at, was it Peace on Earth? The
Yeah,
coffee
Peace
shop
on
right
Earth
there.
and Gurus has it in
Yeah.
the bulb out area.
Yeah.
So I think removing parking would be a -1, my feeling. Okay. Signal at 400 West and 100 West.
To slow down traffic
These are,
further.
they don't have signals currently.
Yeah.
So then that puts a signal on every single block.
Yeah.
Is that what we're saying?
That's what.
Personally, those are low volume roads, and when I bike or walk, I feel very comfortable crossing those, and so I think a signal would maybe hurt just because it could take a lot longer to get somewhere. I don't know. Alternative
I think we also
perspectives.
said they could be pedestrian crossing button only as well.
Yeah, you could.
Oh,
So
just,
that
you
they're
can
green
just
unless
cross
the
the
pedestrian
street.
pushes the
Yeah.
button. That's the clarity we got last time.
Can be
it could
absolutely.
be,
It doesn't necessarily have to be vehicle.
yeah. Uh-huh. Okay.
That could be
more
helpful for-
pedestrian.
Pedestrian access.
So I don't think it does anything for the driver, but it could make it easier for pedestrians to cross the street.
Okay.
And it doesn't really,
Yeah,
I'm not sure, it would slow traffic down a little bit, but
they should stop for those pedestrians anyway.
they should.
So we think 0? 0. Okay. Create parking protected bike lane by converting angled parking to parallel. So I love the first part of this, but I don't like the second part.
So from
That's a lot of parking we lose.
convenient access point of view, though,
I mean, that makes it way
Yeah.
better for bikers
But not
getting
for-
down.
And much
not
harder for
drivers.
people
But
who are
way
parking.
worse for parking. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
you'd lose more than half your parking, I think.
Well, and it's harder.
And it would
And it's
it would
harder to park.
clog up
Deterrent
the
for
flow of
the-
all the
Yeah.
roads as well.
I'd say
It's
that's
way-
probably going to be a -2 from the business perspective.
I would agree based on what they've said about parking and from what Shane shared and what we heard before. Even with significantly improved for bikes, I don't know, is it -1 because it helps bikes access?
I don't know if from this criteria, I'm not sure it offsets what it does to the driver.
Right, the parking loss is too significant, yeah. Okay, -2.
-2.
Install hot pedestrian signal at 400 West. So this is kind of like the one up 2 spaces up, right? So I'd say probably just 0 again. Chicanes. I'm going fast. Everyone stop me. I'd say these are maybe a 0. These would be great for safety and slowing people down, but I don't know that it would impact access a lot.
This is when we couldn't figure out how to do it either, right?
Oh, we can do it. It's just, like I said, the cost
It just-
to
it's a-
redo the road.
Road, right?
Improvements.
Oh, these are.
These are the-
A chicane,
Curve.
chicane
Oh.
We have a
curves,
little
right?
out and then.
So
we have
you
different
could
other side.
completely, instead of.
Reroute,
Survey time,
rerouting.
Sheldon,
It's
if you
surface
remember.
time.
Yes,
Remember
instead of
that
a
movie.
straight shot, you make it tight, curve it through.
Lombard Street, that's what we
Yeah.
want.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Not right.
That's like the
They'll put the
ultimate
switchbacks.
extreme right there.
Yeah.
This is negative. I don't-
I would say negative. I was thinking bulb out, sorry. I would say negative then for this, because no, I would. And I feel like that would mess up the ambiance, like I know I'm an engineer, so I especially like things straight, but I feel like most people like things straight.
No, curves are better for ambiance.
You drew within the
All the
lines.
pretty curb appeal flower gardens are curved.
Fancy's weakness comes out.
There it is. Straight
Am I
line.
putting 1 or 2?
I don't know.
What do you guys think?
One,
But the problem with chicanes is years ago, we went through a similar exercise, and I have drawings somewhere in my office of chicanes downtown, and we lost a lot of parking.
Yeah.
You know, because you have to go,
That's a huge
parking.
it's a huge
The curve
parking
and
killer.
the-
I
yeah.
can
so
already
then
tell
it's a
you.
negative 2.
Definitely.
Okay, let's go.
I can
minus
guarantee you
2.
they'll never be built.
Yeah, -2. Construct median walkway for center parking access to crosswalks. So I like this a lot. Do we lose parking with this? Is that,
What you will lose most likely is landscape.
Yeah, you'll lose the landscaping.
You're gonna need to change landscaping in order to make
Trees
that
are
happen.
the problem.
And I can tell you that, and maybe Gary maybe knows.
Yeah.
That center island.
Yeah, the center island, there's a couple of things with it, is we've done surveys in the past. Often the number one thing people like about downtown are the trees. Ironically, often the number one thing people dislike about Center Street are the trees. And the grass strips that we have in there, they're almost useless, especially now.
see, I think we can get rid of
With
grass.
the
but not trees.
landscaping and things we have, there's probably better things that we could do, and we could keep the trees somehow. But that one would take a lot, but depending on how you do it, you could end up losing parking.
Yeah.
Every time we've come in and tried to put in a sidewalk down the middle, you may have to shift a tree over, which takes out a parking spot, because you can't shift it the other way into the lane of traffic.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not wide, you know, the needed area for a tree to be really good, long-term sustainable, you know.
Yeah.
What kind of trees are?
So it causes discomfort for the driver currently, because it's awkward. We talked about this last time.
Yeah. You mean because people are
Yeah, because
all over, you know,
you've got to
in
cross.
random places?
I mean, it's
and trying to
legal
get their car.
because it's a pedestrian walkway,
Yeah.
but you've got to cross an active 2 lanes of traffic. So we talked through this last time. I don't know if there's any solution, but it's not helping access to the businesses. I mean, the parking is great, but then getting from your car across the streets is awkward every time people.
So even with the sidewalk.
No, I mean currently.
Oh,
But I don't know how that's what we talked through last time. We don't really know how to fix it.
right.
Or the trees are in the middle of that median,
Yeah.
so you can't put a stroller around them,
Yeah,
right?
so
You
exactly.
can't get a bike or.
You have to walk in the
You
street.
have to walk
Scooter.
into the landscape.
You have to
All
walk.
right.
You can
Hard,
put
you
in
can
some
walk around.
permeable walkway in between the trees, but to make it straight so that you could, a mom or dad could unload a stroller and go
Exactly.
along there, you run into a tree,
Yeah.
and then it's either a travel lane or parked cars,
Yeah.
and so you end up, if you want everything there, you have to end up losing parking in some areas.
Yeah, because if we make it a walkway that's designated as such, you're gonna have to make ADA requirement. You
Yeah.
can't make construction.
See, if I had to choose here, like I would rather, it's a pedestrian mall, people cross in the middle, but they're supposed to be there. I would rather keep trees and not have that
I
walkway.
think that's where we ended last time.
But then people are crossing not at mid-block crossings, not at other places.
Which if we make some other improvements, I think
Could we
could
slow the
be more
traffic?
okay.
Could we-
Slow the traffic.
So you can keep the trees if it's part of a
But I think,
multifaceted solution.
right. So I think they're.
Because the only
they're
solution is to
important
take out
ambiance.
parking or something to put the sidewalk in there. So we talked about it, just has to stay the way it is.
It's
So-
so nice to have a good sidewalk there.
Right, so for
nice.
access for today, are we just gonna say neutral since neutral or my,
I think that's where you end up.
yeah,
Well,
I think for
and I think to
access,
solve it, we'd have to take parking.
So do a big plus, like as a mom coming downtown with my little kids, I say, don't run through the road. Look, there's a sidewalk. Stand here. This is where you're
Yeah.
supposed to be.
Mhm.
That would be a big plus for me to feel comfortable coming
Yeah.
downtown. But if you're also losing parking, and then so maybe we're net neutral.
that's what I think.
Hmm.
It would be way better when you park, but if we lose a lot of
It's a
parking,
great idea if we could execute it.
but we can't, we don't.
But we can't
How many
execute it.
parking spots are we talking here?
See, if we
How
can-
many trees? Oh, I'll have to go look at it more closely.
You're thinking like an engineer.
I am.
Yeah.
You need to stop.
Okay, we're gonna stay neutral on that for now. Install raised crosswalks at mid-block crossings in 500 West. I feel like this is great for safety and even ambiance. I don't know if it affects access much. That's
It's a zero then.
my feeling. Okay.
Unless they're too steep. And then
It
people,
might be one.
What did?
we just want them to feel like a bump. Because those deter people.
Yeah.
People will stop coming back if we put in speed bumps.
Yes, so raised crosswalks are not necessarily speed humps, right?
Yeah.
They are,
They
you get really into the engineering design down to the weeds here. Yeah, they're different heights and those kind of things. So,
You do notice, but they're not going to slow you down.
correct. They're
You
not,
notice them.
they're not
Yeah.
designed to slow down to a 15-mile-an-hour design. They're
Yeah.
just bring them out.
Yeah.
So I don't think they do. I think they're neutral on this.
Okay.
Yeah, but my opinion about this raised crosswalk at mid-block, to me, for business owners, because people don't have to go to intersections to cross, that means they have better access. So I thought it's not zero. I just put one, but if the other people think zero, that's fine.
I think that's a good point.
That's my opinion.
Logic is it makes it more comfortable for pedestrians, so it's improving pedestrian access to the business.
Mhm. Without deterring cars too much.
Yeah, I don't do. It's really more of a maintenance issue. They're not going to.
That's just say, yeah, that public works is, yeah, that's one of the things we're gonna have to.
They're not going to be excited about putting them.
For sake of consistency, Robert, would you mind scrolling up to the top of the list one more
See,
time?
I feel like at the top we gave ones. to
We
a
were
lot of
giving ones
these.
to these. Yeah, I think we're not being consistent here.
Yeah.
Because you said, oh, if pedestrians feel more comfortable, then it's
Yeah.
gonna be a one, and then
We
we
gave
stopped.
ones to those up here. but
Yeah,
now
so we're gonna
not.
have to be consistent.
So like
The slow and the 15 mile per hour got a one.
those first 4 ones.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
all items that I feel like we're ranking as 0 now.
Entry arch might be slightly different.
Yeah.
But the first two especially are similar.
But, see, I would say slow and 15, we maybe make a 0 because that could deter some traffic. Maybe the first 2 0, but the pedestrian mall and entry arch doesn't impact traffic. So maybe those first 2 are 0.
These two.
Any
If that's
thoughts?
where we want to go, unless we want to make others ones.
I feel like that's, I feel like we've rated more that way where if it's, we've done 0. Agree, disagree? Okay. Thanks, Joy, that was good. So what do we decide here? So this is 1,
Then
or no, this is
This
0
would be a
because it
0.
could be some traffic impact. Better, okay. Remove median parking to construct median. So I feel like this one's great for safety and ambiance, but bad for access. So this is probably a minus and would get a great score other places.
it's a minus
Probably a
1 or 2.
-2. I mean, that's a lot of parking.
Again, I would
There's
love
a
to,
lot of parking.
Yeah,
if the ambiance versus parking access, yeah, ambiance versus access.
Well, there's, well, I think business by business, they can even choose.
Oh, yeah.
So we haven't, there's an ambience evaluation criteria. as well that it-
That's
Yeah.
true, that's true.
That makes sense.
so this one I feel like was kind of a repeat, or is it different?
No, the other one was for bikes.
Oh,
This
For all
one was
these-
to
oh.
Increase the sidewalk.
This could, yeah.
Gotcha.
So
sidewalk.
that would be a negative.
what did we do for
We did a
bikes?
negative
-2, so I think this
Here,
is
this
probably-
is negative on the ambience. It'll probably score high.
I'd say we do the same as we did for bikes, -2. Remove all parking for more than 90 street recreation space, -2.
-2, no problem.
Yeah, done. Raise intersections at 100 West, 300 West. So
That's the same as they raised.
That one can
Zero,
be,
raised crosswalks, yeah,
I don't think that's, yeah, I think it's 0.
okay. Reduce speed limit on University Avenue and 500
Yeah.
West.
Uh,
About speed limit for an hour if we have time.
What's the short version,
Well, you can
Clint?
reduce the speed limit.
Reducing
What do you say?
speeds is never effective unless you enforce it constantly, literally
Which you can.
constantly.
And
Have some
enforcement-
geometric change to
Narrow
physically encourage people to say,
And enforcement doesn't change long-term behavior.
yeah.
It's always a short-term behavior.
I don't know, Clancy, I heard the lifeguards yell, don't run to the kids at the swimming pool and never do it again. For the rest of the season.
My
Just-
kids do that, and I
do it
tell them, and
once
they
and
walk.
it's done.
They're little angels.
I'm gonna send my kids to your house.
I got a 7-year-old. Hang on, I'm gonna challenge that.
He has a taser. in the back.
She's gonna tell me not to run, then I'm gonna.
It's the shock collar, that's what it is. Sorry, I don't, that's
This is
a
being
joke,
recorded.
I don't do that.
Reduce the speed limit on University Avenue and 500 West.
I think this is 0.
I don't think if people would slow down.
I think I would give 0 because
Problem.
our focus is on the center street itself. I don't think many people are paying a lot of attention to those two.
Speed limit, that's not there.
It's not, but you may want to put an asterisk, another one on, because Center Street,
It's posted 15 right now, right?
it's so on the west, it's 30.
Oh, center from the freeway to.
Yeah, so when you're coming eastbound, you go from a high speed down to a 15 mile.
But that's not
through
what
an
that's
intersection.
talking about, is it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You go from
So your thought
35
is we
through
should-
that intersection.
To
It's
15.
So your thought is bring the speed down before we hit the 15.
You can decelerate the speed.
I think that's cheap.
That's one of the things that we will be probably requesting UDOT anyway. I mean, that is something we're going to ask for. That is too big of an abrupt change in
Yeah.
speed in that short of a distance.
Yeah, now that you mentioned, I one time knew it was coming up, so I think at like 600 or something, I just took my foot off the accelerator just to coast. And I didn't come close to 15 by the time in that block through the intersection onto Center Street.
I like that idea, but there does need to be something at those speed breaks to, like, if we
To do
put
it.
bulb outs at 6th West to like really send the message, okay, now it's 25, you know, I like that idea if we include something like that. Okay, change surface material on Center Street, like a pavers or something that,
Yeah, I'll let cobblestone.
Okay. I feel like that's a 0 here, that's obvious.
0. If it's a beautiful, the mosaic, then it'll be attractive.
So this is, you just can't turn, I can't remember, was this the one that's completely
Left.
blocking it off, or is this the one of just the turns?
Block traffic.
You can
entering
turn
center.
onto those streets, but you can see.
So yeah,
Which
so
one?
basically you're carrying the median through
Straight
the
At
intersection.
those two
So
intersections.
basically it becomes a right in, right out at 100 West and
No
100
less.
West. You're carrying the median all the way through the intersection,
Right.
but the pedestrians would still be able to cross there, but the median would go all
So
the
you
way
take the
through.
intersection now, so you can go from the side street onto Center in the one direction, but you can't go across. That's what this one is.
See, just extending the median, I don't know that I like that because
Is there another one? that's
the
completely
fewer
blocking it?
breaks, more
The thing
breaks.
is you
slow
can
people
add
Is there
down.
another one
If
that's
we could
completely
see the
blocking
median,
it?
it could even
You play
speed
the
people
parking
up.
lot there?
Well, you can add parking in there too.
Oh,
Yeah,
completely.
that's true.
Oh,
Mm.
So essentially,
I thought this was like making sort of a pedestrian plaza on 4th or 100 West, or is that a separate idea
Okay,
somewhere
so
else?
I'm not- which one is it David Harding's idea to turn to create parking lots at the end of these streets where they hit?
And that's,
this
Is
one.
that this
that
one?
could, and that's what I say, and that's what you could do. So you block off that left turn, you block off a left turn, so it's only becomes a right in, and you can put whatever you. like,
Oh.
Well, I'm saying we block it
So you can,
completely
you
in
can
that.
go from
the-
center into it, but that's it. You can't get back.
That's one approach.
One
I'm saying,
approach,
what
that
if we
could be
block
one.
it completely and the south third of those blocks becomes sort of a pedestrian plaza with,
That's David Harding's. suggestion.
That's,
see, and then at the end of that is parking, yeah.
So essentially, your idea has happened on the south side of 400 West already,
Yes, yeah,
in between the
With
main
more
city
design
building and
elements,
the
but
Covey
yes.
Center,
Yeah.
where that was taken out, that road was taken out.
Because it's
Now
only
there's
on
an
one
outlaw
side.
area. It's all right. It's like their T intersection.
Could we add that idea and make it two separate items? Because this one, like add right in, right out or something to that description, and then a separate idea that is like pedestrian plazas at 4th West and 100 West. Because I feel like yeah. Yeah. Is everyone okay with that? I don't know.
Yeah, I just need you to clarify what we're talking about, the differences in. So this first one, are we
Is,
extending the median along the middle?
yes,
Are we
median
adding
extends
parking?
along the middle, probably added parking. I can-
Trees?
Trees. I can still turn in or into or out of 4th or 100 West from Center Street. Turn right only.
it's right on the, from
Right
any
on.
direction you're coming on 4th West or Center Street, you can only turn right.
Yeah.
On those streets.
The new idea I'm proposing is those streets are completely blocked. And the south, like third of that block, those blocks become like pedestrian plazas,
Like parking lots.
gathering space.
They become parking lots, so it's.
Well,
Safer
a
to
pedestrian gathering area, and then above that, at the end of the, it's not a cul-de-sac, but sort of cul-de-sac would be some parking.
So if I'm driving north on 4th West, when I'm about to hit Center Street, what happens with your idea? It's just blocked
Well,
off completely and I have to turn on,
If you're driving south on
I'm
4th
not
West.
coming north
Yeah.
on 400 West.
You come in like this.
It's blocked on 4th West already from the, if you're driving north.
Okay, how about First West?
If you're headed south on either of those streets towards Center Street,
Okay.
you would have to turn on 100 North to go somewhere. If you continue to cross 100 North, you'd be in a parking lot, basically. Maybe it's a bad idea, but I think it's worth considering.
So I think in terms of access, it's an easier place to park. So
Block traffic for entrance into street from 100 West.
For the median one,
oh, you're reading.
The median one first. So it's a little safer for pedestrians and it increases parking.
it could increase parking, yeah, because you could continue parking through the street. And I doubt there's a lot of left turns there, honestly, but.
Sure, like that eastbound. You're coming eastbound. Say there's a business that was on 400 West or
You can't get
100
there.
West.
So you can park and cross,
You
but you
could
can't
park
turn.
and cross, but yeah, you would have to make sure, which I'm not saying you'd have to go over to 100 North to get to those.
I maybe think for access, this one might be neutral. And my idea that I'm suggesting we add would maybe be a -1. I don't know. Eliminating all turns on 2 streets is a big deal.
Yeah.
We've already
That's
through, so.
right. That's my proposal for these. We add the additional idea. This one gets a 0. The new idea gets a 1.
I'm good
Alternative
with that.
perspectives.
I wonder, which criteria will this idea score high on? Or is it just gonna get lost?
The new idea or the,
Well, last time we kind of grouped them together. Just realizing that we've got these Ts, they're not completely effective for traffic anyway. Can we get better use out of reconfiguring them? So are they gonna score high on anything, any of our criteria, or are they gonna get lost?
the
Because
completely
like last time, we
blocking.
spent a fair amount of time talking about this. David Harding made very persuasive arguments that this should be looked at. I agreed with his persuasive arguments. I'm just hoping, well, let's just make sure when we're through scoring, that this idea doesn't somehow get
Right.
lost.
Yeah.
Because it has merit, I think.
Well, I can tell you
For
from a
some
businesses, anytime we convert any T intersection to, or anything to right in, right out, businesses do not want to lose that access, right? I mean,
On Center Street, I know on arterials, they feel that way.
any street, right? I want my business to be very convenient to get to.
What if they were getting more parking out of it?
Possibly, but that would be
This is
something
another one I would
different.
start to say, what do you think about this one especially?
Yeah, so the last
don't
one,
know.
the last one I'm
one.
saying is a -1. Because yeah, it could result in more parking possibly. And a nice pedestrian access area. Are we okay with that? Remove 1 lane of traffic each direction. I think that's.
Well, it would be a volume drop. Because we can still keep the left and the right turn pockets. The volume's got to go down. Right now, it can't happen. We'll have split failures, we'll have
You're gonna
traffic
have
backing
major, you're
up.
gonna have major failures.
Your lane is essentially the Walmart drive lane parking lot. Like you've
You're
got to
just-
stop anyone that comes in or out. The
You're gonna have
whole-
any parking space on either
all
side.
traffic has to stop.
It's way slowed down.
Yeah, you're gonna have wall-to-wall cars straight through right now.
Yeah.
Wouldn't work.
Mm.
But if we're successful and the volume drops,
That's,
so I don't think that can be considered unless the volume drops.
And the businesses were clear, they don't want to remove traffic entirely, but we never
We didn't
asked
define
them
what that
specifically
meant.
about 1 lane. I don't think.
Well,
I don't think it would work.
In the past, when they've been in, they would like to slowly move towards a pedestrian mall.
yes.
This
You know-
might work in the future when people thinking pattern changes. Then this might apply, but this moment maybe -2.
And I think I agree. You couldn't go from where you're at now and immediately jump to this.
It's a long term. There, 10 years, 20 years.
You're gonna reduce traffic off slowly off and then get to that.
So I think right now that's a -5.
I agree.
I was a
Take it
business
too.
owner.
Just
absolutely.
Just split that 5.
I would just say.
-2 plus. 2 minus 1.
Well,
Because our street system will stop functioning.
yeah, it would.
What you would do is you would force, if you did, you would end up forcing those to do some drastic things.
Really give it a -5.
-2.
Realign Center Street 200 North.
Yeah, line Center Street too.
So this, what did we say the protected lefts one was? Can you scroll up, Robert?
Sorry, which one, Clancy? Oh, this one.
So was that the one where I said like better access to the parking garages could actually help? So I feel kind of the same about this one where it's the question about removing through traffic. I think this could help because it'd be easier to get to a parking location
I
or
agree.
somewhere else. If the businesses are okay with all the commuter traffic,
But if the commuters weren't stopping anyway, then maybe they are.
but they're seeing the business and stopping
Yeah.
later maybe.
Yeah.
We'd have to knock some buildings down.
That is,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be
Yeah.
the intent. You would take
The bank,
the
the Mount
grocery
America's
store.
gone
Yeah,
and
you
the
would
fresh market
realign
parking
that.
lot.
True.
I bet the businesses wouldn't like this one. But I really like this one.
I say 1 with the major,
Well,
still the major
Yeah.
question of
If
through traffic.
redevelopment happens appropriately, it might be an option at some point, but development has to happen appropriately.
I think the grocery store one, I mean, that's obviously a concern as far as redevelopment. Burger mortuary is
Yeah.
a big concern as well.
There at second, yeah. 1 there?
Yeah.
Okay. Completely closed Center Street.
Now, can I put
Minus
the
-5? Minus 10?
At this moment, huge minus.
This would only be doing something if this was brand new.
And I feel like the businesses were clear on that.
This is something that's not already established.
All right,
Good job,
we did it.
guys.
Good job, everybody.
Similar price tag on this new one.
Probably, it was probably four star.
$4.
3 star.
$3.
I'm going for, I'm going for, I'm going for, I'm going for.
Okay,
Very good. Actually, while I have you, can we unhide the rest of those? Let you do that.
okay.
Because I want to just give,
You
since
had
we
to-
added this one, I just want you guys to
Oh,
give scores
yes.
to the other criteria. So really quick.
Is that what you're talking
Yep.
about? Oh, yeah.
So for this bottom one, prioritize pedestrian safety.
So I feel like that's a 2. It does cut off access, but it could increase parking.
Well, this is.
This is, we're going back to
pedestrian.
pedestrian safety column,
Right,
right?
right. So I think it would be huge for pedestrian safety. The multiple modes thing, I think it still supports multiple modes because it could add parking. So
So it'd be 2 for you.
that's my thought. Other opinions?
Second one is because you're reducing conflicts, cars turning over across crosswalks.
Yep.
But how is it improving safety where we still allow the in and the outs? Still got conflicts between the cars and the pedestrians. I'm not sure it does anything.
For the one with the question mark?
The question mark.
I agree. It
So I think
doesn't,
it's
it doesn't
neutral,
reduce
huh?
conflicts. Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't know exactly how you were scoring them last time. So I defer.
Well, we had only one.
Well, it wouldn't-
Together, so
Simply making them right in, right out wouldn't change the pedestrian experience
It'd be the
much at
same.
all.
so it's neutral.
Okay.
Whereas if you close it off, it gets safer for pedestrians because they don't have the conflicts.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, well,
Thank you all.
thanks, everybody.
That's very good.
1.3
Did it. Yeah, I saw
I was
that.
like, wait, you got to do
1.33.
decimals last
I'm
time?
sh- I saw that. I saw.
I
just
did.
about
Oh,
discussion.
I didn't know
I did what I was
We
supposed to.
couldn't agree.
I was, what engineer put that down? Even went to the,
He's a planner.
it even went to the hundred
Between
decimal
average,
thing.
we
That's like
tucked them in an
perfect.
average, right?
Oh.
Because we could get agreements, so we just all voted and.
That's what
So
engineers
there
work
were-
in.
there were a
is
couple of them.
just the 100 decimal place here. Not
Something
one,
like that, yeah.
Okay.
So we just-
1/3.
You talking about your salary?
Oh, no.
We were trying to get
That's
those
a
column.
negative.
Yeah, good job.
Well
I didn't say
done.
which side of it.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Clancy, do you have time to draw me a picture?
Bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm having
thanks
a hard
everyone
time
on the
with
call.
it.
Thanks, Dave.
I'm about to go into a meeting in